Jessica Patel was born in 1983 and grew up in Leeds, located in northern England, where her entire family had been living for several years. Hers was quite a large family, as Jessica, the eldest, had 5 siblings. Her grandparents and her uncle's family also lived in the same house. Jessica was always a calm, well-behaved girl with a constant smile on her face. Her dream was to study pharmacy and work in that field. After finishing school, she pursued her dream and enrolled in a pharmacy degree. Through ambition and hard work, she achieved her goal and earned her degree. At university, Jessica reconnected with a man she had known for years. His family was close friends with hers, and they had known each other since childhood. In fact, Jessica had secretly dated him a few years earlier. Mitesh Patel.
But a male can't really do IVF by himself. He has to introduce a woman into the picture. He needs the womb, he needs the egg, both of which the women own. It's the unfortunate truth. The data backs this as well, that the most dangerous type of male to a woman is a gay male. Hate to say it, it's just the truth, y'all. I am just a messenger of data. Hola, hola, mis amores, ¿cómo están? Hi, my loves. How are you doing today? So I'm back with another video, podcast. And this one, y'all, is insane. It's insane. This is the perfect case study that will, by the end of this vidcast, show you exactly why most males, over 90% of males, are gay. They're into other males. For most of them, all it would take is a little alcohol here and there. Okay? A little push, a little incentive. Some of them will do it for pay, gay for pay. That's it. So over 90% of males are completely homo. And this will show you exactly why. This will show you exactly why these podcast bros in the manosphere, the leads in the manosphere, go through the extent that they go through to berate women. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why that is. By the end of this case study, you will understand, or you should understand if you're listening attentively, exactly why that is, why they do it. A very kind commenter left me this additional information, which I posted in the community section. If y'all don't keep track of the community section, make sure to keep track in the community section and in the shorts section. I post a lot of updates in those sections, especially because it's so much simpler, easier for me to do. So I post quite a bit of updates, polls, interesting topics, debates, conversations in the community section and shorts section. So this comment says, yeah, in the French case, multiple of these males are the most hateful. The red pill content creators are all gay or homo, bi. I don't believe there's any such thing as bi. That is my belief. If you are into males, sexually attracted to males, then you gay. Period. Point blank, period. There is no, oh my God, to me, that doesn't even make sense. Because as soon as you're into males and sleeping with other males, do you know the caliber of diseases and sicknesses that you can bring to a woman by doing that? That is nature in and of itself saying, no, sir, it cannot go about both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. It's a depravity. There's nothing wrong with liking males, but if you like males, that's where you need to stay. It's greed in and of itself, because the amount of diseases a woman can catch, and nothing will happen to the male. The male won't catch the same thing. The male catches his diseases by sleeping with other males, but the woman will catch the diseases by sleeping with this male. That is nature in and of itself. That's the function of nature telling you, no, that's not going to work. So to me, in my opinion, I go by nature and what nature says. There's no such thing as bi. What it is depravity. It's greed. If you're a male and you're into other males, then you gay. Nick F, Adden Ross, Myron Gaines, JLP, Candace Owens' husband, the guy who suggested forcing women into S with whatever this thing means, all confirmed as homos. Jack Morphy was into homo porn as a bottom. Ew. What the heck was that? I mean, ew. So if you're not careful, these males will drag you into these depravities with them. If you're too desperate, if you don't have boundaries, if you don't have self-respect, if you don't know your value, this is what you'll be doing right along with the male species. The male species does this because they lack self-control by nature. They're devolved by nature. Think about it. These male species, they will not even hire them to work at morgues because they don't mind doing these type of sexual activities with dead bodies. They fantasize about doing it with unconscious bodies, with dead bodies. All of the celebrities that are being caught right now, how do they get the prey? How do they get the women prey? By drugging them, by making sure that these women are unconscious, by making sure that they don't even know what's going on. And they take pride. It's like their system. It's their way of being. They think it's a win. You're unconscious. You don't even like them. You're not even saying yes to them, but that's a win to them. Even though it's literally you unconscious, literally you intoxicated. That is the caliber of being of a species that you're dealing with if you're dealing with the male species. So this should not surprise you. And they will drag you into this depravity right along with them if you have no self-worth, if you don't know your value. Okay. Sneako, that was his name, admitted to being bi. There's no such thing as bi. Again, ladies, you got to understand, for a male, there's no such thing. With all of the diseases that you're going to catch, it was not meant to be. So sorry. You can't have your cake and eat it too. It doesn't work that way. Human beings always trying to do the most. There are limitations. Those diseases are there for a reason. Okay. Admitted to being gay and was in spicy photo shoots aimed at males. Of course he was. Most of the dudes making money from creating anti-women content are under the gay umbrella, or complete homosexuals. Most definitely. So thank you, Suck King B T Toulage. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Apologies if I'm not, but thank you for posting this comment. Most dangerous type of male is a gay male. You have to think about, you have to process through these things literally and logically. The straight male already doesn't like women, right? They already tend to be jealous of women because women can naturally do what males cannot do. So they go above and beyond to berate women and keep women down, try to control women, trying to control the source of life. And they themselves are straight, which again, I'll remind you, is only about 8 to 10% of all males. Okay. So just a reminder on that statistic. So introduce the gay male. The issue isn't that they're gay. The issue is the combination. They're male first, and then on top of that, they're gay. It's the combination of the two. It's not the fact that they're gay. That's the issue. They are sexually attracted to other males. So they will, no matter what, view you, the woman, as competition for those other males. So there is an very thickly added layer to that natural hate that comes from males just being males. They're looking at you, the woman, as competition because they're trying to get the same species that the woman would be trying to get. So you're adding an extra layer, very, very thick layer to that, which makes them the most dangerous type of male to a woman. It's unfortunate. It's just the truth. So let's go ahead and take a look, see what we've got here. I'm going to let the reminders play. I'm going to roll the reminders, and then we're going to dive into this case study and see what we've got here. Here on this channel, we talk about anything and everything related to the girlies. We're going to be doing more exclusive content. for exclusive members, where we dive in more depth talking about some of these things. So I'm going to be doing content for exclusive members where we're able to kind of dive in a little bit deeper, because some of this stuff we can't necessarily just openly talk about, you know what I mean? Don't forget to smash that like button for me. Okay. Love you so much. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button for me as well, and the notification bell so you don't miss a podcast every time that it comes out. Okay. Also, links are below in the description. The Patreon is now up. Take a look at what the different tiers are. There's links below to the Patreon. If you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check it out. Free newsletters. You can sign up for those at our website. Link below as well. All the other socials are also linked below. So make sure to follow on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. We're now on Blue Sky as well. So thank you so much for your support. But let's go ahead and dive into this whole situation, okay? Because it's totally insane. It's totally crazy.
Mitesh Patel was Jessica's first boyfriend, and when they began...
So y'all keep in mind that this is a young lady that has everything going for her. She's in university. She wants to be a pharmacist, you know. So this is a lady with a bright future. And here comes this male. The male will target you specifically if you look like you have a bright future ahead of you. That is what they target.
Studying the same subject at the University of Manchester, they officially started a relationship. The two had much in common. Both came from Indian families and shared a dream of running their own pharmacy one day. Their relationship grew stronger as they spent more time together, and Jessica saw Mitesh as her ideal partner. Mitesh was attentive and often showered her with gifts. When Jessica's mother was diagnosed with cancer, he supported her through the challenging time. Knowing how difficult it was for Jessica, he stood by her every step of the way. Tragically, Jessica's mother passed away in 2005 following her...
He stood by her every step of the way, showered her with gifts. So this, I'm pointing out, because like I always say, I call them predators for a reason. I don't call them predators just because I call them that because that's literally what they are. It's literal. It's literal. They will put up this facade for years, until they are sure that they have you trapped and you can't get out. Until they are 100% sure that you are completely trapped and you have close to a 0% chance of getting out, they will keep the facade going no matter how long it takes.
Jessica, as the eldest sibling, took on her mother's role, caring for her father and siblings. Her family came to rely on her completely. Jessica remained in a relationship with Mitesh, and after several years together, they decided it was time to get married. Jessica's family was a little surprised by how quickly the couple wanted to wed.
They decided it was time to get married after several years. That's why I keep warning ladies against this contract. This marriage contract is not meant for poor people. This marriage contract actually started with wealthy people trying to combine resources to be even wealthier. It's not really even meant for the common person. And it hasn't been changed in decades. It's ancient. It doesn't even work today. The average amount a male pays for child support, guess what the average amount is? Because there's stats and data on this too. It's literally like around $450 a month, y'all. Toilet paper. What are you supposed to do with that when you're raising a whole child? So that's why I tell ladies, look, put together your own contract. Don't be ridiculous. Make it detailed. Interview lawyers. Pick the lawyer that you feel the most comfortable with, that you like the most. Make it detailed. If there's furniture, if there's house, any property, you get to keep all of it, especially if there's a child involved. He has to pay X percentage amount of his salary, especially if there's a child involved, and you have him sign it. You don't wait until things get sour and now you have to depend on the system and now you're stuck with $450 a month trying to take care of a whole child, y'all. That marriage thing it's not a good idea. It's an ancient contract, and it's a way that the males gauge how trapped you are. That's why they use the marriage thing, is to trap you.
Mitesh's family saw no reason to wait. If they loved each other, why delay? In July 2009, they were married in a traditional Hindu ceremony attended by 600 guests. Jessica wore an intricately adorned wedding dress.
Also, keep in mind here how her family didn't understand why they were rushing to get married. What was the rush? And it was his family that was rushing the whole process, rushing for them to get married. His family was doing that. So how much do you want to bet that his family knew how depraved this male actually is. They probably knew. These predators are protected by the families. They're protected by the mothers. We have to say it. It's the truth. We cannot ignore that truth. What's the rush? What are you rushing for? They're trying to trap you there.
That weighed nearly 35 pounds. After the wedding, the couple settled in Leeds, but moved a few years later to Linthorpe on the outskirts of Middlesbrough. Although it was about 60 miles from Leeds, they relocated because this was where they could fulfill their shared dream. Mitesh found a location where they could open their own pharmacy. They purchased a large house, and the only thing missing from their happiness was children. Although they had everything they had once dreamed of, Jessica longed to become a mother. Unfortunately, this didn't happen for years, so the couple decided to seek medical help.
He put on a play for so long that she's now considering having a child with this male. And keep in mind, y'all, this is not some uneducated lady. If anything, the more successful, the more bright your future looks, the more educated you are, the more they want to take you specifically down.
IVF was recommended as their best option. However, even this method didn't work immediately. Over the years, they attempted IVF 3 times, but each attempt failed. These failures deeply affected Jessica, leaving her devastated. By 2018, the couple made a 4th attempt at IVF, and finally, there was hope. Doctors informed them that this time, the outcome looked promising. They had successfully fertilized 3 embryos, which were scheduled to be implanted in Jessica's womb in June. Jessica was overjoyed by this news, convinced that this time she would finally become a mother. But everything changed on the 14th of May, 2018. Around 8 p.m., Mitesh returned home to find the house in disarray and his wife lying unresponsive on the living room floor. Her hands and feet were bound with tape, and her mouth was taped shut. Mitesh immediately called emergency services, but despite their best efforts, paramedics couldn't save Jessica's life.
It's emergency.
Oh, hiya. I think we've been burgled and my wife's been attacked.
Whereabouts? What's the address?
We're on number 35 the Avenue in Middlesbrough, Linthorpe.
Right, is that where your wife is now?
Yeah, well, I've just come home. I was just out. I went to get something to eat and see the lads at work and get my laptop. And I've come home and the house is ransacked. And she's
Highly feminine voice.
just on the floor. She's got duct tape all over her and she's like unconscious.
Right.
I'm trying to take this duct tape off her.
Can she breathe?
Well, no, because she's...
Take the duct tape off her then.
So I've got the duct tape off her. It was on her legs, like by her ankles and on her arms. Tied, like she's been tied up. So her hands are really cold.
She's been tied up by her hands.
Yeah.
And also tape around her legs.
Yeah.
And marks around her neck.
Yeah. She's got like blood on her nose and like stuff dripping out onto the floor.
What position is she lying in at the moment?
She's in the recovery position. I've put her in that already.
Okay. And she's non-responsive.
No, Jazz, come on, baby, wake up.
We've got Mitesh. Listen to me, please.
Baby, wake up.
We've got an ambulance coming. They're travelling on blue lights as well. Okay. And we've got.
What do you think my dad, please?
There's nobody on scene, is there, Mitesh?
No, there's nobody here. I want to
Nobody.
keep the house.
What room are you? Okay, listen. The police are outside. Can you let the police officer in?
It's Jessica.
I'll leave it with you, okay, Mitesh? I'll leave it with the police officers.
Okay.
It appeared that someone had broken into their home, unaware that Jessica was there. The entire house, including the ground floor and upstairs, had been ransacked. Clothes and other belongings were scattered across the floor. Jessica and Mitesh were well known in the area as a married couple who ran a pharmacy. Perhaps someone assumed they kept large sums of cash or medications at home. The police first questioned Mitesh, as he was the person who had found Jessica's body and spent most of his time with her at work. Mitesh recounted their day. They had worked together at the pharmacy, and around 10 a.m., Jessica's father had visited them for a brief chat. That day, Mitesh finished his shift early and went to the gym. After his workout, he briefly returned to the pharmacy before heading to a local pizzeria to pick up dinner. During this time, Jessica was supposed to close the pharmacy and go home. When Mitesh arrived, he discovered the horrifying scene. Initially, police believed the house had been burgled. However, as the investigation progressed, doubts began to emerge. One key observation was that there were no signs of forced entry, no damage to windows or doors. This suggested that the person who killed Jessica had been let into the house. That didn't necessarily mean Jessica knew her killer. She may have simply opened the door without checking, and the person forced their way inside, as the area was considered peaceful and safe. Crimes like this were rare. The police hoped that footage from the CCTV system installed at Jessica and Mitesh's home would provide crucial answers, helping them identify who had entered the house. Unfortunately, Mitesh informed the police that the cameras had not been operational for several days. While investigators continued their work, a post-mortem examination of the 34-year-old revealed that the cause of death was asphyxiation. Marks on Jessica's neck suggested the use of an object to strangle her. Later, during a search of the crime scene, investigators discovered a plastic bag that had apparently been placed over Jessica's head, as indicated by traces of her blood and saliva found on it. However, the search of the Patel residence uncovered something even more significant, which shed an entirely new light on the case. In the bedroom, under the bed, police found a hard drive inside a suitcase filled with clothes. Upon examining the drive, they discovered recordings from the home's CCTV camera, which Mitesh had claimed had been out of order. To the investigators' surprise,
why do most of the males in the manosphere, knowing that they're gay, all of them are gay, they're into males, they're sexually attracted to males, keep talking about women, berating women, and harassing us? We don't even have anything to do with that. Most women are very accepting generally. Like, if you tell us, we'll just redirect you to the correct direction, because we're not males. So if you're into males and that's what you're into, we'll just point you the opposite direction. Oh, well, I'm glad that you're able to live your truth. I'm not a male. The males are over there. And that's it. Moving on. On along we go, because it's not even attractive to us anyway. So to most of us anyway. So it doesn't matter, as long as they're being open and honest about it. So they really have no reason to lie the way that they do when it comes to lying to women. So why do they do it? The ones that hate, and I hate to say it, but the statistics this is what the statistics support. The males that hate women the most and that are the most dangerous to women are the gay males. Why? The biggest reason for that, it's literally in the question in and of itself. The biggest reason for that is that they're gay. That's why they're the most dangerous types of males to women. It's because they're gay. Ma'am, you just answered your own question, right? They like other males. They like other males. So if they like other males, they cannot be women. They can never be women. No matter what surgeries they get, you can't bring life here. You can never be as empathetic as a woman can be, because the woman is born with it, because she's able to bring life here and she needs to nurture. So you can never have that experience. And you as a male, you know that. No matter what clothes you wear, no matter what surgery you get, you can't do it. Why? Nature won't allow it. It is nature. And you know that. But yet you're attracted to your own species. So now, on top of all of that hate, resentment, and jealousy, now put that on top of the fact that, like, now they're attracted to their own species. So now they're looking at you, the woman, as competition, because they're attracted to their own species. They don't even understand. They can't even conceptualize, because they're males, that women don't compete with we don't compete with males, because we don't have to. By nature, we just don't have to. Women stay competing with other women, to the point where it's a problem, actually, within our group. That's for us to have to deal with. Women compete with other women. We could give two craps about no male at the end of the day. Even the women that don't know that that's the reason why they're doing it is literally the reason why they're doing it. Because as soon as the other woman's out the picture and he starts doing stuff that she doesn't like, guess what's happening? She's gone. Over 90% of the time. It's because they want the males for themselves. That's why they do it, y'all. That's the biggest reason. That's the biggest answer. They want the males for themselves, and they view you as competition. So they berate you, they talk down on you, so that they can get all the males for themselves, because they're gay. Duh. Literally, the answer is in the question in and of itself. So, of course, they're going to spend their time berating women to other males so that they can have access to more males, because that's what they like.
Footage revealed that the cameras were operational even on the day of Jessica's murder. This revelation made Mitesh, who had appeared grief-stricken over his wife's death, the primary suspect. The question was, if Mitesh had nothing to hide, why had he lied about the cameras and concealed the hard drive? The footage provided crucial evidence, showing everything that had happened outside their home. Upon reviewing it, detectives realized that Mitesh's account of events on the 14th of May did not align with the recordings. Initially, Mitesh claimed he and Jessica had worked at the pharmacy together that morning. After his shift, he said he went to the gym, returned briefly to the pharmacy, and then went to a pizzeria before heading home around 8 p.m. Jessica, according to him, had closed the pharmacy and returned home earlier. However, the footage painted a completely different picture. The CCTV showed that Mitesh had returned to the house at 3:30 p.m. and stayed there for several hours. Contrary to his claims, he never went back to the pharmacy. Jessica arrived home at around 7 p.m., not alone as he initially suggested, but while Mitesh was still in the house. Mitesh left the house at 7:42 p.m. to pick up a pizza. He returned at approximately 8:15 p.m., taking the pizza from the passenger seat and heading into the house. Moments later, the CCTV cameras were switched off, likely because Mitesh realized they were still recording. Importantly, the footage revealed no one else entering the house that day, aside from Jessica and Mitesh. Faced with this evidence, investigators had no doubt that Mitesh was involved in his wife's murder. 3 days after Jessica's death, Mitesh was arrested. Detectives were already aware of his lies regarding the cameras, his false timeline of events, and a significant delay in calling for emergency services. Notably, after purportedly finding Jessica's body, Mitesh waited around 10 minutes before phoning for help, behavior that seemed inconsistent with genuine shock or distress. Jessica's family was devastated to learn that Mitesh had been arrested. They had comforted him in his apparent grief, and though they knew he was not a perfect husband, none of them believed he was capable of such a heinous act. The pressing question now was, why would Mitesh kill Jessica? What could have driven him to such an extreme?
Why would he do it? What could have driven this predator to such an extreme? It's in their nature. They are predators by nature.
During interviews with Jessica's and Mitesh's families, investigators uncovered a very different picture of their marriage than what had been presented to the outside world. To neighbors and acquaintances, the couple appeared to have it all: a beautiful home, a successful pharmacy business, and, after years of trying, the hope of becoming parents. However, Jessica's family revealed that all was not as it seemed. The problems began shortly after the wedding. Before marriage, Mitesh had been attentive, showering Jessica with gifts and affection. His family was thrilled when the couple decided to marry quickly. However, after the wedding...
Before marriage, he was so attentive, gifts, the whole 9 yards. Well, let's see what happened after.
Mitesh's behavior changed drastically, distant and indifferent toward Jessica, showing no interest in her and avoiding physical intimacy altogether, making it impossible for them to conceive naturally. Jessica struggled to understand what had changed. The man who once called her every day to speak now barely acknowledged her. Over time, Mitesh began to control and isolate Jessica from her family. Even when her grandfather fell ill and she wished to spend time with him during his final days, Mitesh refused to let her. When Jessica tried to reason with him, he became physically violent for the first time. Jessica confided in her sisters about her marital problems, but to the outside world, she kept up appearances. No one could have guessed the turmoil behind closed doors. Jessica had completely changed. She was no longer the cheerful woman she had been before getting married. She had entirely lost her self-confidence, and her family noticed she had lost a significant amount of weight. Life with Mitesh was far from what she had envisioned, but for a long time she couldn't understand why things had turned out this way. What had caused her husband to change so drastically? Mitesh, however...
Warning here as well. You don't need to understand why, ladies. He starts behaving weird. Any sign of this type of weirdness, you need to be out. You need to plan that exit and be gone. It doesn't matter why. It does not matter why at the end of the day. Doesn't matter. No reason could possibly be a good reason anyways. If you don't like someone, divorce exists in today's day and age. We're not in the 16 or 1700s or whatever. You can literally just get a divorce. You could literally just tell the person, like, look, I don't want to be with you anymore. So there is no good reason that even makes sense. It's not even worth it for you to sit there trying to find out why. As soon as he switches up, you switch up too and be out of there. Plan your escape and be gone. Because so many women do this. I wonder why. Ma'am, you are messing with a literal predator. He will unalive you. He will do it. He will put hands on you. He will do it and feel nothing about it. He will go to sleep like a baby that same night.
Knew exactly where the problem lay. Throughout their marriage, he had been unfaithful to Jessica multiple times. He simply couldn't stay loyal to her, and she had no idea. Moreover, she didn't know that her husband's infidelities involved other men. Even before marrying Jessica, Mitesh knew he was more attracted to men, but because his family was deeply religious, he had to keep this hidden. They would never have accepted his true identity, so he devised a plan to find a wife who would prevent his family from suspecting anything. Mitesh was so skilled at concealing his affairs that even Jessica didn't suspect a thing. He had a dating app installed on his phone, which he used to meet other men. To ensure Jessica wouldn't find out, he always kept his phone with him, even when going to the bathroom. Jessica found this behavior odd and suspicious, as was the way Mitesh would leave the room whenever she entered while he was on a call. He never wanted her to hear his conversations, which often lasted late into the night. He would sometimes return to bed as late as 4 a.m. Mitesh met various men over the first 2 years of their marriage until 2011, when he encountered Amit Patel through the same dating app. This time, however, it wasn't just a fleeting affair. Mitesh and Amit fell in love and began seeing each other more frequently. Jessica discovered their relationship a year later during a family gathering when one of her sisters noticed a text message from Amit on Mitesh's phone. The message clearly indicated a romantic relationship between the two men. Amit had replied to an earlier text from Mitesh confirming that he loved him too. When Jessica learned the truth, she was in shock but tried to resolve the situation. She thought the best course of action would be to speak with Mitesh's family, hoping they might know more about his relationships with other men. However, the family didn't believe her claims. They insisted she was imagining things and suggested that she focus on starting a family instead. They believed.
Don't ignore the red flags. He's hiding phones, stepping out of the room when he's talking. It's weird. The guy's a weirdo. If he's doing weird stuff like that, be gone. And how much do you want to bet that family also knew? The families protect their predators. Trying to tell you. Especially the mothers. Trying to tell you.
That having a child would put an end to her strange ideas about her husband. He denied everything, assuring Jessica of his love for her and stating that his only wish was for them to have a child together. Jessica, deeply in love with him, wanted to believe his words. Shortly after this turmoil, Mitesh announced to Jessica that they would be moving out of Leeds. He had found a place on the outskirts of Middlesbrough.
So she ignored all the red flags. she ignored everything, despite the fact that he was already mistreating her to begin with. Right after the marriage, remember that? They make sure that you invest. She had already invested so many years into this relationship. So much time, so much emotion, so much care, love. They already had so many things intertwined through this marriage contract. She just couldn't accept it. And she lost her life because of it.
Where they could open their own pharmacy, a dream come true, he said. The location was around 60 miles from Leeds, but as they couldn't find anything closer, the couple relocated to Linthorpe. There, they purchased a beautiful house and began what Jessica thought would be a fresh start. She hoped that in their new home, they might finally expand their family. However, Mitesh hadn't moved to the new city to build a happy life with Jessica. His real intention was to isolate her from her family. Living 60 miles away meant they could no longer visit as often, which suited him perfectly. His behavior towards Jessica didn't improve. He continued to treat her poorly, but Jessica's love for him was so strong that she endured his mistreatment. Even if she had wanted to, divorce wasn't an option. In a traditional Hindu family, it would bring shame upon her relatives. And so, the couple remained together, despite Mitesh continuing his affair with Amit. As time passed, both families began to press the couple more frequently about having children. 6 years had passed since their wedding, but there was still no child. Feeling the increasing pressure, they decided to try IVF. The first 3 attempts failed, but the fourth showed promise, and in June 2018, the embryo transfer was scheduled. Tragically, Jessica was murdered a month before the procedure, and all evidence pointed to her husband as the perpetrator. Investigators searched for evidence linking Mitesh to Jessica's death. As is common in such cases, the police examined his laptop and mobile phone. The search history on his laptop revealed that he had been researching ways to kill his wife. He had looked into overdosing on insulin and other medications, as well as hiring someone to carry out the murder. This research dated back to March 2018, 2 months before Jessica's death, indicating that Mitesh had been planning the murder for some time. Around the same period, he also took out several life insurance policies on Jessica, ensuring he would receive £2 million in the event of her death. Could money have been the main motive for killing his wife? Further analysis of Mitesh's phone provided additional evidence that contradicted his initial statements. Unbeknownst to him, his phone had an app that tracked and recorded his steps. The app was so precise that it could even detect when he climbed stairs. Using this data, investigators discovered that shortly after Jessica returned home, Mitesh repeatedly ran up and down the stairs, moving rapidly throughout the house. This suggested he was ransacking drawers and cupboards to make it look like a burglary. When Mitesh later claimed he had returned home from the pizzeria and found Jessica lying in the living room, he didn't immediately call for help. Instead, he ran upstairs, where he likely disabled the CCTV camera and removed its hard drive to hide any incriminating footage. The same application was running on Jessica's phone, which allowed the police to determine the precise time of her murder. Her phone recorded her steps up until 7:04 p.m., after which no further steps were logged for several minutes. Then, just 1 minute before Mitesh left the house, the phone recorded exactly 14 steps. When the police arrived at the scene, Jessica's phone was found near the front door. This suggested that her husband had taken it and placed it there to make it appear as though Jessica had dropped it when an intruder entered the house. But that wasn't the only piece of evidence implicating Mitesh. Another was the duct tape used to bind Jessica's wrists and ankles. In addition to searching the family home, the police also searched their pharmacy, where they discovered a roll of duct tape identical to the one used during the murder. While such tape is common and found in many households, the end of the roll matched perfectly with one of the pieces found on Jessica's body. This proved that the roll found at the pharmacy was the one used to tie Jessica up. Investigators suspected that Mitesh had planted the tape at the pharmacy after briefly leaving the pizzeria where he had placed an order. Further incriminating evidence was found in his bag, where several empty syringes containing traces of insulin were discovered. Given his earlier internet searches about insulin, investigators believed Mitesh had injected Jessica with it to incapacitate her. The evidence against him was substantial, but one more clue stood out. During his initial police interview, officers noticed scratches on his neck. When questioned about them, he claimed they were from exercising at the gym. However, the person who had been working out with him that day denied seeing any such scratches. Furthermore, the results of Jessica's autopsy revealed his DNA under her fingernails, proving she had scratched him while trying to defend herself. At that point, there was no doubt about who had committed the crime. The only lingering question for investigators was whether money was the sole motive for Jessica's murder. During the investigation, they uncovered a chilling secondary motive. Mitesh had continued his relationship with Amit, although they weren't meeting as often after Amit emigrated to Australia in 2016. Despite the distance, they still dreamed of being together one day, but that wasn't their only dream. They desperately wanted to have a child. This was why Mitesh had been so insistent on pursuing further rounds of IVF, despite Jessica's exhaustion and reluctance after repeated failed attempts. He manipulated her by threatening to leave if she refused to try again. Investigators discovered that his ultimate plan was to take the embryos from the clinic and transport them to Australia, where another woman would carry the baby for him and Amit. However, for this plan to work, Jessica had to be out of the picture. Mitesh took great care to ensure that the fertility clinic staff would suspect nothing. He even took medication to lower his fertility, ensuring that tests would show he was incapable of fathering a child naturally. The trial began in December 2018, and throughout the proceedings, Mitesh maintained his innocence. He claimed to have loved Jessica deeply and insisted he would never harm her. However, the mountain of evidence against him left no room for doubt. The jury took less than 2 hours to reach a verdict. Mitesh Patel was convicted of Jessica's murder and sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 30 years before he can apply for parole.
They want other males. They want other males. So they will get rid of women so that they are left with all of the males. They want each other. That is the answer to the question. The answer to the question is in the question in and of itself. They view you as competition and as something to be disposed of. Because as we can see now from all of the data out there, males can't compete with women in the most literal sense. They can't compete. They literally just give up because they just can't compete. Their DNA is regressed. It's devolved. They literally by nature can't compete. So they just give up. They're not going to school anymore. They're not working. Meanwhile, even while oppressed, women were doing all these things. The male needs the woman, but the woman has the egg and the woman has the womb. So she doesn't need a male even for IVF. She could do IVF by herself. Leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like, subscribe. Okay. Love you so much. Let me know what your thoughts are on this particular case, this particular situation, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye.